Hi, I'm Tyler, and welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, be it LTPs or singles, and after having listened to them all week, I come back here and I review them and share what I think about them. So without further ado, let's get to this week's first release, Housefires' new EP, Chapel Sessions, Volume 2. Housefires' new EP, Chapel Sessions, Volume 2. Let's dive into it. If you want to hear my thoughts on Volume 1, I reviewed that on this channel as well, and you can go back and check that out after we're done. Let's talk about Volume 2 here. So, pretty good EP here overall. The only thing I would say is that Stephen McWhirter's vocals, I thought weren't my favorite towards the start of the song. But then, I felt like his vocals got better as the songs went on. That's my take. And I think I got a little bit more used to his vocal warm-up on his tracks after having listened to the EP a few times. So again, overall pretty good EP here. Stylistically, definitely a collection of contemporary folk worship ballads. Not as much gospel-sounding influence as we've heard lately on some of Housefire's newer releases. They kind of go back to the folk worship thing a little bit more here on this EP, I feel like. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Housefires talks about how when we struggle, wading through hard times of doubts that are impossible to overcome, we can peacefully surrender it to trust God to, in His grace, through the Lord Jesus' blood in His sacrificial death on the cross, that saved us from sin, to be in the presence of His sovereignty, that refines us to love Him and sustains us through hard times that He unfailingly saves us from, to make a way for victory. Up next, Drew and Ellie Holcomb's new album, Memory Bank. Drew and Ellie Holcomb's new album, Memory Bank. Let's dive into it. So, I thought there were some good sounding songs here, but there are a few moments that aren't really my style. I particularly, and I did not expect this, I wasn't a big fan of Ellie Holcomb's vocals on this album, which is weird, because I usually like her vocals on any album I hear it. That's just my take. Though, stylistically here, definitely a country album, first and foremost here, but also some folk and southern rock influence here. I would say leaning slightly towards the upbeat side of things, but definitely some ballad moments here too. Pretty even balance, I would say. And as for the lyrics here, good lyrics here. You could definitely see Drew and Ellie's love for each other as a couple here, and how they try to use that love to stand for what's right. And as for the lyrics here, Drew and Ellie Holcomb talk about how they grow to move on from their past, to enjoy lovingly being together, even in hard times, as they stand for what's right. Up next, Ryan Stevenson's new album, Valley Lows, Mountain Highs. Ryan Stevenson's new album, Valley Lows, Mountain Highs. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here, I would say, even though there's only 7 songs on this album, so I feel a little awkward calling it an album rather than EP, but good album was what we did get here. Stylistically, definitely on the pop side of things with some degree of contemporary influence. Mostly pretty upbeat, but we get a couple of ballad moments in Landmines and Rich, featuring Dina Carter. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Ryan Stevenson talks about how he struggles with his faith in doubt, but he needs to learn to trust in God's unconditional love to free him from that, to fearlessly surrender his faith to God, to be with Him, to give him strength in weakness, to follow God's guiding and preaching that love with his life by serving others. Up next, Manafest-Silent new album, Silent Beast. Manafest-Silent new album, Silent Beast. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here. stylistically. So while the hip-hop styling remains, he trades the usual hard rock that he combines the hip-hop with for a little bit more of an alternative pop rock vibe feel to it. I would say, by the way, that the alternative meets the hip-hop kind of reminds me of some of Beacon Light's more recent stuff. That's my take here. Pretty upbeat throughout. We have hard-hitting moments, we have upbeat moments, and we have danceable moments here from Manafest on this album. Vocally here, rapping vocals first and foremost, but definitely some singing and sing-rapping going on here too. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. I like how Manafest talks about how he trusts in God to help him overcome the odds he faces. And as for the lyrics here, Manafest talks about how the hopeless pain of fear has changed him to trust his faith in God to help him have strength to give his all to fight to victoriously overcome the odds of the hopeless fear of the haters who doubted him, to achieve his dreams of greatness that he was born for. Up next, Sean Rodriguez's new EP, Jesus Will. Sean Rodriguez's new EP, Jesus Will. Let's dive into it. So, also, too, it's worth knowing, some of you may remember Sean Rodriguez under his former name, Sean B., but now he goes by Sean Rodriguez. So, anyhow, let's dive into the EP here. So, pretty good EP here. Stylistically, definitely pretty pop contemporary sounding overall. Mostly upbeat, with the standalone ballad being Jesus Will, which we get the regular version, and then a Spanish version of it as well here. There is one song, though, that notably changes things up a little bit. That also gets a radio edit, by the way, called It Is Finished, featuring Disciple. And that song has a little bit more of an alternative pop rock and hip-hop vibe to it. So that song's a little bit different from the rest of the EP and sounds good. And the rest of the EP, the pop contemporary stuff, sounds good as well here. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Sean Rodriguez talks about how when we hopelessly struggle with doubt and unexpected hard times, we can joyfully trust Jesus to, in his love, be faithfully with us to keep his promises in his word, to sovereignly use the pain and redeem us from it, to change us to have new life of following him and victoriously fighting to proclaim this truth. Well, that's it for this week. Come back next week for 5 more releases. If you like what's on this video, please subscribe. I put out videos every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. Also, if you have any thoughts on today's releases or what I may have said about them, let me know that in the comments below. Also, in the comments, you can let me know if there's any awesome releases that came out today that you want to see in next week's video. Also, check out the playlist section for my Means Month Stream playlist available here on YouTube and also on Spotify. And this month's edition of the playlist, which is still up through the end of the day, includes songs from artists like Mac Powell, Ann Wilson, Crowder, Kane, and others. So go and check that out if you're interested. And know that tomorrow, the playlist will be updated to show you what I've been listening to in January. So be on the lookout for that. Well, go now. See you next week. Bye!